You start out with garlic and onions. 6 cloves of garlic, medium. Sadly, at this time of year, garlic grows this sprout, means it's getting ready to grow a new garlic. This one's particularly big. Cut it in half, remove it. It's supposed to make it bitter, I don't know. Often I'll use a garlic press, but today I'm mincing. I don't want you guys to think I'm lazy. I am not lazy. Just sometimes I'd rather spend my time doing something else, like watching Downton Abbey. Garlic is done. Onions. You want the equivalent about 3 medium, whatever that means to you. I'm gonna make this really small. I'm gonna mince it because I like them to sort of disintegrate into the stew as opposed to like being big bites of onion in the stew. I have read that if you wear goggles when you cut onions, your eyes don't water. I do think that cold onions actually helps a little bit, but I don't really refrigerate my onions. And as you can see, when you cut 3 onions, it's bad for the makeup. This is a lot of onions and garlic because I'm making a really big recipe so that I have extra so I can freeze some for nights when I don't feel like cooking. Now I'm gonna get all the other stuff. Okay, this requires a lot of cans. You could cook the beans from scratch. You could use fresh tomatoes, I suppose. It's gonna be so good anyway. 3 14.5-ounce cans of diced tomatoes. 1 can of tomato paste. Time to saute the onions. Use a neutral oil, like a vegetable oil, a couple tablespoons, in a big pot. Scrape them right in. Cook it just till it's translucent. I think you've probably noticed by now that we start so many of our recipes with onions and garlic, or onions or garlic, and that's because of the amazing level of flavor that it adds. All right, now you can add your spices. 3 tablespoons of chili powder. Don't put it in with all of your liquids. Add it to your sauteing onions first to cook out the flavors. So add some salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. This adds kind of an exotic flavor that you might not expect, but it's pretty common in dishes like this. The whole can of tomato paste. This adds acidity and the kind of depth that you wouldn't necessarily get with such a short cooking time. 2 chipotles in adobo. You are supposed to chop these ahead of time, but I'm gonna put them in and then just crush them up with a spoon. Just cook it out a little bit. 3 pounds of beef. Just kidding. I'm super strong, so this is nothing. You can turn your heat to high now. Then you just break it up with a spoon and you just cook it till it's no longer raw looking. The rest of the ingredients are 3 cans of diced tomatoes, bottle of beer, and 2 cans of beans that should be drained. Once it's cooked for about 5 minutes, add your beans, your tomatoes, and your beer. If you didn't want to use beer, you could use water, a little bit more tomatoes. I mean, I often don't use any beer at home. Bring it to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, and let it cook for 5 minutes. I'm a huge, huge fan of chili. My kids are huge fans of chili. It freezes really well. It tastes delicious. You can put lots of different condiments on it. It's an all-purpose kind of meal.